Hello, and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to respond to a letter I got a few days ago. I've been thinking about this one for a couple of days because it's about parenting. Boy, parenting is not for the faint of heart. Parenting is hard work. So I had to think about this one for a bit. And then the problem specifically. And then this morning I was doing a little tarot, consulting my oracle decks to see what kind of energy and advice I could get for this person. And it's just so funny. You can't make this stuff up. And you'll understand why once I read the letter to you. But this was the first card I pulled. It was Balance, okay, from the Crystal Ally deck that I have. And so let me read the letter and you will understand why that is just, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, so Dear Harmony, my 15-year-old has a friend that is not a good influence, often gets my child into trouble and belittles our family's values and beliefs. I do not let my child spend one-on-one time with this friend, but do allow group activities. In general, I do not interfere with kids' friendships, but this one keeps me up at night. Her questions are, am I meddling too much? Is there a better way to handle this situation? Signed, Trying to Find the Right Balance. Well, I hope I can give you some ideas that will lead you towards balance. And sleeping at night, hello? We all need to get a good night's sleep. So if this one's keeping you up at night, then it needs to be addressed. So, are you meddling too much? I won't say that you're meddling too much. I think you're concerned. You're concerned about your child getting into trouble. You're concerned about them completely rebelling against or being overly influenced against your family's beliefs. And there's probably a good way to handle this situation. First, I think it's important to understand, and you probably already do, about how children have the need to individuate. It's their job to individuate from their parents, to strike out on their own, to make themselves different in some ways, in their journey for autonomy and sovereignty. And if you have other children, then they may have also individuated in their own ways. This one probably scares you a bit because, one, you don't want your child getting into trouble, and two, the threat of them not continuing on with whatever your values and beliefs are, which happens. It's just one of those things we have to accept. This letter reminded me of the 80s TV show, it just came to mind, Family Ties, I think it was called, the show that Michael J. Fox starred in and got his start with. Maybe you remember, maybe you don't. Maybe some of the viewers will remember this 80s TV show where the character Michael P. Keaton was so different from everybody else in his family that it was like a joke, right? Because the family was kind of down to earth. The parents were a little like left and crunchy and, middle class and really, just sort of super normal in that way. And Alex was like Mr. Wall Street. He was so different. It seemed like his political beliefs, his values around materialism and money and all those things were totally different from his parents and his sister, right? And he was a teenager in the house. So this is to be expected. There's going to be a rebel, right? The kid's going to just intentionally, and maybe even subconsciously, be attracted to things that are different than mom and dad. And you may be seeing the beginnings of that with this child, okay? So be prepared. It might not stop here. This is one friend, right? It could be more. So this is where you get to practice some philosophies that maybe you've heard of. What we resist persists. So getting into resistance too much with the situation, as you said, you don't like to interfere in kids' friendships. You know where it can go. If you resist it and push against it too much, it will get worse, right? It will persist. Whereas if you get into agreement a little bit more, you'll actually gain a little bit of control back. It's another saying I heard from one of my teachers. Agreement is control. The more inflow and agreement we can get with a situation, even when it makes us uncomfortable, the more likely it's going to turn out the way we want, and we'll feel better, a little more in control. All right, so there's that. Acceptance is ultimately the answer to all your problems, and if you can accept the situation, as long as your kid is safe and not hurt and not in any trouble, when you go to bed at night, accept that they have a friend you don't like and go to sleep. Okay. So we've talked about individuation. We've talked about the normalcy of rebellion and needing to get into flow, right? And what you're doing already in terms of creating expectations, rules, boundaries, that's perfect. Every kid needs that. That's where we don't want the pendulum to go too far one way or the other. And this because you're looking for balance. You want that middle ground that says, I'm not too lenient and I'm not too strict. Everything's, kind of good here because we're striking a balance. Okay. So, what do you have to do to get there? The other card I pulled for you, right, this may be one way you're going to get there. Out of the Moon Oracle deck, a time for healing. Okay. Is this a child that you have some healing work to do? Has the situation put a wedge between you and the child, and you need to come back together, right, and heal a little bit? So that may be part of your path to getting the balance, getting back on track. Heal the relationship if there's a rift. Have a heart-to-heart. Talk about how you feel. When parents hide their feelings and just don't share what they're going through, like they're not a human being, they're just the one in charge and taking care of everything and doing all the work, and don't show that they have a heart and feelings of their own, it's not necessarily good for the relationship with the children. Having a heart-to-heart where your child, you can share feelings, both of you, where you can share concerns, could be great. Maybe you can loosen up a little bit. If they're 15, they're not going to be out driving in the car and getting in trouble in the car. Chances are at 15, they're going to be hanging out at somebody's house, maybe your house, which would be good because you could get to know the kid better. They're going to be out at a local store or at the park or at school, not going to be out driving around in the car, hopefully, and getting that kind of trouble. And the more that, here's the other thing, is the more you can try to see this friend, see the good in this friend. So if the friend's not going away, the friend's not going away. I don't know. Obviously, if something really bad happens, the friend's going away, right? But if the friend's not going away, the more you can see the good things in this friend and share that with your kid, and not judge them as good or bad, but be clear on what is good and bad choices, right? We know the difference between, seeing somebody, as a shame or good or bad inside versus they're a good person inside, just like everybody, has a heart and soul and has good qualities inside, but we make bad choices. So distinguishing those things, that's going to be helpful. Having the control of having the socializing, even the one-on-one socializing in your home could be helpful. This is not easy. Like I said, not for the faint of heart. So practicing as much non-judgment as you can towards the kid, knowing that your child is built to rebel and individuate in whatever direction they choose, and you don't have that much control over it. So the more you can accept and not resist, the better. And having the boundaries you need to make the child know that they are loved and are safe, that's all good stuff. Doing a little bit of healing work with them if necessary. And here's the good news. So young years, teen years, young adult years, children individuate, become who they're going to be. They explore, they seek different things. They want to, take in life. And having that strong faith foundation or values foundation can really help them if they get into trouble later on. And you might find, like, let's say this child does fly way off and completely rejects your religion or your values or people in your family, and there's nothing you can do but love them, right? As long as they're not hurting other people, right? You have to accept. We have to practice acceptance in order to keep our sanity, in order to keep loving people. So even if they fly way off, chances are good they'll fly back, because that happens. People will, reject the faith of their youth and seek other things and meet other people that have influence on them and formulate more of who they're going to be. And then somewhere down the line realize, wow, that foundation I had was actually pretty good. Maybe I don't need to reject it completely. Or who knows, maybe they may come back around altogether, come back to the church or whatever it is that you would love to see them having a life in. You don't know. We don't have a crystal ball here, right? But for you to stay sane and sleep at night, you just got to love your kid, accept the situation, keep your boundaries, recognize with some sense of humor, oh, that's them individuating, my little rebel individuating. It's what they're supposed to do. Ha ha ha. Isn't that cute? Right? And then if things get seriously out of control, you make sure they're gonna be safe and healthy. Boy, I wish you luck with this one. The teenage years, I hear, are tough, and you'll get through them. And I hope that this was helpful to you today. I hope that what I've suggested, some of the philosophy I've given you and some ideas I've given you, will help you with your child. And if you like the video, please click like. Anybody who's seeing this video, please click like if you like the video. In the description box below, you'll see my email address, dearharmony50@gmail.com. So you can write me a letter and ask me what you want to ask me. All right, guys, have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.